A blog campaign is social media. Press release campaigns can and often are social media, and whether you intend it or not, they have a social media impact. And now social media is at this early stage where you have some academics who are absolutely passionate about it as a sort of an academic subject, and they use some of these phrases. Brands are no longer in control. Oh my gosh, if I put a forum on my website, well, people poke fun at my products and my services. And one of the challenges traditional PR agencies face is that they're not quick enough. They just can't be quick enough. And that's why the online PR is such a double-edged sword. It's very attractive because it can be so quick. But how do you cope with that speed? And here's another way of describing social media. It's trying to market to people who don't want to be marketed to. And broadcast versus narrowcast. Broadcast is how we used to have to communicate. One message through and far and wide. TV, radio, that's broadcast. But social media is narrowcast. One message from you to one other person, or maybe a small group of people, a specialist niche. You need to know when you need to do which. Now, when you're marketing, developing a marketing campaign, you need to fight to earn people's attention. We're attention poor. You can't do an advertorial without making it clear it's an advertorial, i.e. you cannot pay a blogger to write something nice about your product and link back to your website if that blogger doesn't disclose that they've received payment from you. Paid search, that's a bit of a sprint. That's an ongoing marathon. You need to be quick and agile and make changes. SEO, organic search, is more of a marathon. A blog is for life, not just Christmas. If you start a blog, finish it. Be prepared to keep on contributing to the blog. And if you're going to build your own social community, like Dell's Ideastorm, that takes even more time and even more money. Thompson, the travel agent, set up a blog back in October 2007. They made a post about Ratatouille, the movie, and then it kind of dries up. And I dug this up just this week, and it's still online. I still find it on Google when I type in Thompson blog. I think it's really bad for their brand. If you are building a community, which the fewer people are doing, but more people are doing right, a higher percentage of people are doing right this time, from day zero, day one, design it so it generates itself. You have to listen. You need to know what the internet is saying to you. Twitter, I mentioned Twitter before, a little microblog system works on your mobile phones, or your BlackBerry, or your desktop, or your internet, or your web browser. It's very easy to get to Twitter, but you're restricted to only sharing 140 characters. And there's a search engine called TweetScan or Twitter Scan, which you can type your brand name into Twitter. And anything that's been publicly said about you, the search engine will try and find. So we want to promote our blog posts. So you go to one of the news aggregators, like Dick. But in this example, I've picked Makes, because it's a little bit more friendly. And your paid search management. An easy example here is brand bidding. Sometimes it makes mathematical sense to pay the search engines to put an advert in place when somebody types in the name of your brand. LiveJournal is a sleeping giant in the UK. It's one of the biggest blogging platforms, one of the biggest social communities out there. And loads of marketers fail to recognize it. And those marketers who go there often forget it's dominated by the Russians. So have a think about what happens when a customer tries to communicate with you. What do you do when a journalist tries to communicate with you? I bet you've got a procedure in place for that. Well, what do you do when a blogger tries to communicate with you? And you can see the problem that traditional PR agencies are in right now. In the past, 5 years ago, traditional PR agencies can wine and dine a couple of journalists. What could Target's PR agency do about that? Quote Me Happy, which is not a big mouth client. Do you remember the insurance company behind that? It was Norwich Union. But they didn't think about the impact that TV campaign would have on the social media front. People went to Google and typed in Quote Me Happy. And it wasn't them who was ranking anywhere for that. It was their competitors. Paid for links are against Google's guidelines. Now, a few years ago, Google's guidelines said, make certain that sites link to you. Go to web directories and make sure they link to you. And for something like the Yahoo web directory, which is one example Google gave, you have to pay to be in that web directory. But at the same time, Google also said, don't engage in schemes to manipulate your page rank. So I'm not going to criticize anybody who was buying links a few years ago. But then on Google's unofficial blogs, the blogs run by their engineers, the people who make the decisions, they said, actually, if you buy links, if you pay a blogger to link to you, we think that's gaming the system. That's not people linking to you through any merit of your own. And then those messages came into Google's official blogs, i.e. their own communication channels. But it was only until this year Google actually updated their official guidelines to say, if you pay a blogger to link to you, that's against our guidelines. A lot of people still do it, and you can tell I'm not a sales guy because it does work until you're caught.